My stepson Chris is in the marching band. He wears a uniform and he moves in lockstep with his fellow musicians. Their feet rise and fall together in time with Hey Jude. They move like clockwork machines on the field. And the lady next to me says, "My granddaughter is marching in there, and I can't tell which one she is, though. They all look alike." Why, yes, they do. In fact, all look alike. Cogs in a wheel, like marionettes on a line. I say to her, it seems like we spend a lot of time trying to make people act more like machines and machines act more like people, which I'm told by my wife is not appropriate small talk for strangers that you've just met in the bleachers. She thinks it's funny, though, which is why she's my wife. But appropriate or not, funny looks or not, it's true. I'm writing this thing with my friend Bakim. It's a bunch of performance pieces called The Uncanny Valley. So for those who don't know, that's when a machine acts and looks and behaves almost human. And it's the almost that is freaking creepy, right? Because if it looked and behaved exactly like we expect a machine to behave, then we'd be okay with that. But the closer that it gets to human while still missing the mark, the more unnerving a machine becomes. Because it's no longer a machine that's trying to act human. We can actually sympathize with that. Now it is a human being who is failing miserably to act human. And our senses are fine-tuned to those subtle inconsistencies, right? It's the reason that you can spot crazy all over someone before they even open their mouth, right? It's the reason you can tell the difference between healthy and sick, between pale skin and pasty, between laughing and cackling, between stoic and dangerous. It's the reason why R2-D2 is cute and the Terminator is frightening. At home later, me and Bakim are watching a TED Talk about artificial intelligence and robotics. This is the basics of what we saw. Imagine you are a machine. You know nothing about what you look like, who you are, how many limbs you have, what kind of joints. You have one directive to move from point A to point B. So you run signals back and forth, experimenting, learning until you have a basic understanding of how you work. And you wiggle and you squirm until eventually you learn to crawl. And then you crawl until you learn to walk, and you walk until you learn to dance. And then you dance until you learn to enslave humanity. Well, at this point, Bakim declares he will never be taken. As long as there are such things as sledgehammers, he will sleep with one under his pillow. And in response, I declare, this sounds uncomfortable. And also, that we are reaching a new stage in our development as a species. We're Victor Frankenstein, evolution become creationists. We've worked feverishly over those creations, and now that they're starting to mule and to whine and to cry and to skitter and to crawl, to dance even, will we retire sick to our beds, to leave them to fend and think and learn on their own, or will we actually guide them into adulthood? Do we turn with disdain and horror at the uncanny likeness of man reflected back from the work of his own hands? Do we sleep with sledgehammers? Hey Jude, don't be afraid. I never forgave Victor for the offhanded cruelty with which he discarded his own creation, as if he could let it slip into the world of misguided dreams, and it would just disappear. But it won't, because this is the age that we live in, and these machines are becoming the new offspring of man, and we should at least teach them to care about us. Thank you.
Can we give another round of applause for Jonathan from moving from Arizona to San Diego to be one of the new killer poets?